After giving it some thought, I don't think I can call the 25th anniversary special my favorite episode of Super Ninja Steel so far. I've said before that when I'm looking for a favorite episode, I don't count the first or last episodes, but I also don't consider multi-parters among my favorites because they have a much longer runtime. I keep these ground rules because I feel that my favorite episode should be the best out of what most of the series has to offer. While the last episode meets my criteria for a favorite, at the same time it feels like an episode from a completely different season, and because of that, I don't think it would be fair to compare it to the previous 9 episodes. However, I am holding out hope that the quality of the anniversary special will carry over to the rest of the season, so let's see if this is a turning point for Super Ninja Steel as we look at episode 11, Love Stings. The episode opens with Madonna handing Madame Odious the only galactic medallion to survive the Foxtron explosion and asking what her master's next plan is. Odious says that today is Valentine's Day, meaning that the villains can use human emotions to get a jump on the Rangers before Venema walks in. Odious orders the Soul Galactic Ninja to take out the Rangers with her medallion powers, and when Venema tries to decline, Odious threatens to destroy her like she did Wolverine. This is enough to convince Venema, who promises to make the Rangers hand over their power stars with her love arrows, and we then cut to the school where everyone's getting ready for the Valentine's Day dance that night. Haley catches Preston practicing asking Sandy to the dance, but he's got some competition in Victor, who tries to ask out Sandy first, with Monty dressed as Cupid because comedy. Monty messes things up though, so Victor goes to his backup plan of bribery, which only insults Sandy, who says she'd rather go to the dance alone than go with him. Preston overhears Victor tell Monty that Sandy wants to go to the dance alone, leaving the Blue Ranger heartbroken. Victor then sees a girl named Lori, who he also tries to bribe, but she says he'll have to give her more stuff if he wants a date to the dance. Later at the park, we get a dog poop joke before Haley talks to Preston about Sandy, revealing that she saw him practicing earlier. Preston says he decided not to ask Sandy after hearing what Victor said, but the White Ranger tells Presto that he can't believe everything he hears, motivating the Blue Boy to ask out Sandy, who happens to be walking by. Before Preston can get the words out, however, Venema makes her presence known, and after she shoots Sandy with an arrow, the others show up, giving Preston the opportunity to escape with his date. Venema then introduces herself to the Rangers, apparently forgetting that she's fought these guys before, and the team demands the monster tell them what she shot Sandy with. Venema says that her love arrows make people fall in love with the first person they see, demonstrating their power by shooting Brody with an arrow.
Huh? Venema, my sweet darling, will you be my Valentine?
What? Of course, my dear. Now, come a little closer.
Brody! What are you doing?
Going to see my one and only soulmate, Venema. Ooh, I love those antennae and that silky wing. She's flown away with my heart.
Man, it's times like this that I really miss Tyler Navarro. Haley takes Brody away while the rest of the team morphs to deal with Venema, and during the fight, Preston returns to help. As the battle continues, Calvin and Lee Vaden get struck by arrows as well, so the Rangers retreat before things get worse. Back at shop class, the other Rangers explain what happened to Mick before we see the lovesick teens hard at work making Venema gifts. Preston then gets a text from Sandy saying she would like to talk, so the girls give him the green light to go see his crush. Sandy ends up asking Preston to the dance, but the Blue Ranger remembers how one of Venema's arrows hit her, so he declines the offer, saying it wouldn't be right. Haley walks in to see Sandy storm off, asking Preston what happened, and he tells her how he had to reject Sandy because she's under a love spell. Preston then sees that Sandy left her backpack, so he gets ready to return it to her, but he notices one of Venema's arrows sticking out of a textbook, meaning it never hit Sandy. Realizing how bad he messed up, Preston is once again in emotional turmoil before the Rangers get called back to shop class, and we cut to Sarah, Mick, and Redbot working on metal shields to protect the team from Venema's arrows. Realizing that no one's watching them, Calvin, Brody, and Lee Vaden decide to sneak out together to find Venema, and it isn't until Preston and Haley return that the rest of the team notices the Ranger Romeo's missing. The team splits up in search of the guys, but the heroes don't have that much to worry about since Calvin's car breaks down while the three try to find Venema. Speaking of, Preston runs into the bee in his search, morphing to take on Venema, and during the fight, Preston ends up struck by one of her arrows. Of course, anyone paying attention knows that Preston wasn't actually hit by the arrow, and is just pretending so we can get close enough to Venema to destroy her last arrow. This is, I guess, enough to break Venema's hold on the other Rangers, and as the rest of the team rushes over, Preston smugly reveals that he was shielded from the arrow, telling Venema that she shouldn't believe everything she hears. Forgetting how ridiculous that line of dialogue is for a moment, Venema reveals that she still has fighting arrows, and as Preston dodges her attacks, he tells the other Rangers his location. We then get a pretty good fight between Preston and Venema, which ends when the Blue Ranger strikes the final blow, but the fight's not over as the monster's quickly gigantified. The others show up in the Blazords to give Preston some help, and after forming the Ninja Blaze Megazord, the Rangers finally finish off the Galactic Ninja who gave them so much trouble. Yay. After the fight, Preston apologizes to Sandy, saying he only rejected her because of what Victor said, which he admits was really stupid because he likes her. Preston then properly asks Sandy to the dance, who gladly accepts his offer, and the episode ends with this.
Did you get everything I asked for?
Of course. Here's one giant pink teddy bear, one pair of snow skis, a diamond tiara, and we mustn't forget your new veggie user. And a fur coat. Now you go to the Valentine's Day dance with me, right?
What about my balloons?
Oh, Monty.
Help!
Monty, look out for the... Stupid Cupid, get off of me.
No balloons, no date, but I'll keep everything else. Thanks.
What?
You know, I just realized you guys weren't in the last episode. Those were good times, huh? This episode is not very good. As I said earlier, I'm not going to compare this to the last episode, but even by Super Ninja Steel standards, this episode is pretty bad. I know that I probably sound like a broken record, but this is another episode that's supposed to be about one thing while showing something completely different on screen. Nowhere is this more evident than in this scene, where Preston tries to tie in the moral of the episode to the villain plot, but it doesn't make any sense. The way the scene plays, Preston and Venema act like the Blue Rangers said he was under the monster's love spell, even though he didn't, just so Preston can triumphantly announce that you shouldn't believe everything you hear. I get the feeling that that line was cut without changing the rest of the scene, which is really unfortunate because it's supposed to be the moment where Preston learns from his mistake with Sandy. The scene is made even worse by the fact that we saw the team putting together the shields earlier, yet we're supposed to be surprised when Preston reveals that he didn't get hit by the arrow. But that's not the only scene with bad writing in this episode. The whole subplot where the other guys of the team get struck by love arrows could have been good, but it doesn't go anywhere and only serves to keep the other Rangers away from Preston in his fight against Venema. On top of that, their scenes are played for comedy, but most of the jokes fall flat hard, with Brody's first love scene in particular being almost cringeworthy to watch. Though I guess we needed the Rangers to be funny in this episode, since the actual comedy duo, Victor and Monty, aren't exactly working with golden material either. Don't get me wrong, I really liked their bit with the Cupid stuff, despite how ridiculous it was, because it plays on the Zapp Brannigan-Kif dynamic that I think these two should have. But the problem is, the Cupid joke only lasts so long before Victor changes his focus to bribing girls, which doesn't come across as funny at all. Overall, this episode is much worse than I thought it would be coming off the 25th anniversary special. It's unfortunate that this is a Preston-focused episode because I think Peter Sudarso is really good in his interactions with both Haley and Sandy, but there's not enough of those scenes here to save an episode that for the most part is poorly written. Everything in this episode started as a good concept but ultimately fizzled out by the end, and if you need any more proof of that, just remember that this is the final episode in the Galactic Ninja plot. Man, what a waste. Though I guess I should be happy that this is over, since it means that Super Steel can move on to a new plot, but all I can think is that the show will now become less interesting with the departure of the team's greatest threat. I really hope I'm wrong about that prediction, however. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you. Please subscribe for reviews of Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel. Also check out Dino Charge Reviews 2, episode reviews. Also there's Ninja Go, and I've got a Patreon. Go! Please subscribe.